All right, let's see here. All right, this is a noun. Um, this is a noun, and it is dressage.
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 Let's see.
Close. You got all the letters in there.
Dressage.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The execution by a trained horse of precision movements in response to barely perceptible signals from its rider.
There you go. Just like you, like when the jockey and the horse get along just as well as you and with Chris Willow of Team Tiger Uppercut.
Dressage.
Stupid.
Dressage.
Dressage.
Oh, man. Dressage.
Oh, I forgot the. I've been so busy. There we go. It's the Corey Midori, aka Dr. Angela Beard, vocabulary word of the day. Mental Lizard's uncle does it.
Dressage.
Michael Beltran and Chris Willow do it without a horse.
Wow.
Dressage.
Well, there you go. There's our word.
Well, thank you, Mike. I greatly appreciate you being a good sport about all that. Maybe going forward, every Thursday we'll have a wrestling-inspired word of the day.
Ooh, I like
something about professional wrestling or
Yeah,
just the sport of wrestling.
But he's going to pronounce
Wrestling
those
terms.
correct. Yeah, if he says like drop toe hold or something like that, he'll get it right.
Well, no, it's got to be maybe from like New Japan Pro Wrestling. It has to be from a different country, maybe,
in
for him to
Japanese.
pronounce. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Whoop, wrong one. That one stays. You're not imagining things. That Free Play Fort Worth sticker is up there for a reason. That's open. Free Play Arlington's open. Free Play
They're all
Richardson,
open.
all open today. But right now, it's Nerd Side of the Ring, and Damien, it is your show.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Nerd Side of the Ring. In the building, you have myself. You got, of course, Mike B, the person we boo constantly. And then we have the man who supplies us with constant wrestling information at 4 o'clock in the morning, Juan Carlitos from Texas. I appreciate him always sending random match suggestions for us during the wee hours of the morning. But without him, he's like the producer of the show. So I greatly appreciate it.
I always appreciate all 3 a.m. messages from Carlos. You sign me up for that mailing list any day. Any day.
Top tier, to borrow a phrase from Carlos. Very top
It's
tier.
too hot for
performances.
Facebook. It is not too hot for my phone. You text away. Sorry, Carlos.
Yeah, I don't sleep. I need help.
Yeah.
We'll have to work on
well,
that.
I've got the help.
That jug of coffee right there.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I don't know if
That's
that's going to help or not, Chris, but
It helps with
that's neither here
everything.
nor there.
right. Sorry. Wrestling.
Fair enough. But alas, my friends, another week in the books of professional wrestling. Some sad news to report also what Mike talked about earlier this week with the passing of Road Warrior Hawk. Animal, I should say, sorry. Now they have formerly the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. Now they have gone on to the wrestling ring in the sky. But before we get into that, I want to touch base with everybody about this past week of wrestling. I know we talk about it all the time in terms of WWE. SmackDown, it seems, is now the A show because they have the more intriguing storylines. So now, aside from the golden role models of Sasha and Bayley breaking up, aside from the G'd up Roman Reigns and Jey Uso clashing at Clash of Champions this weekend, we now have an interesting development with one Alexa Bliss kind of becoming the Fiend light every time they mention Bray Wyatt's character, the Fiend, on air. She snaps into a trance and does a pretty wicked-looking Sister Abigail on whoever it is she's doing it on. Some would say she does it better than the Fiend himself. Does that still make you want to watch SmackDown, even though it comes on Fridays, everybody?
That doesn't, because I tell you what does make me want to watch SmackDown, and that is the real Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn.
Yes.
That is what's keeping me on SmackDown right there. That right there. He is the true Intercontinental Champion because he never lost it.
Nope, never lost it.
He never lost it. He never lost it. So that
Like in every sport, right, Mike? I believe the saying is you don't lose your job because of injury.
that's right.
Wally Pip
You
disagrees
don't
with
lose
that. But
truth,
talking about the
but you
linear
don't
champion.
lose your you don't lose your title because of COVID restrictions either. At least that's how I feel. So
Yeah,
He's still the linear champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that they never stripped him of it, and he did go past the 30-day mandatory title defense, so he's still champion.
was it
Right.
always 30 days?
I mean, gosh, I mean, from since I was a kid, I've always heard it to be 30 days. So, I don't think
didn't
it's
know
changed.
that.
Yeah, I've always heard that as a kid. He had to defend the title, once every 30 days or something like that.
And the only reason I bring that up is because we grew up on the Saturday night's main event, wrestling challenge, those kinds of weekly or monthly shows, but you only had pay-per-views every 3 to 4 months. So Hogan, even though he may appear, never really defended the title every 30
Yeah.
days. So I think that's a kayfabe loophole if I've ever
Yeah.
seen one.
And then those shows were like back then were like just to make the superstars look good, so they would like face jobbers.
Yes.
Yeah,
They would face young Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy back in the day.
Oh,
Well, you
yes,
also
the Hardy
had,
Boys. Mhm.
You also had house shows though, where they would defend titles at those shows, and still do. So I think that's how they got around it. So they were being defended, just not on TV.
Jack Tunney, the former WWF, what was he, president, commissioner, Jack Tunney. Then Sergeant Slaughter became the boss, and those were
Wasn't
fun
it
times.
Gorilla Monsoon first before Slaughter?
Yes, it was before. It was after Tunney, before Slaughter. Yes,
Rest in peace.
the late great Gorilla Monsoon.
Yes.
Um,
Mike's always trying to
Excellent heel
challenge-
work.
Always trying to channel Gorilla Monsoon is Mike B.
Hey, KP.
Oh, KP's on the air. That's our
whoa.
signal that it is premium content time. If you want to hear KP's wrestling opinions and yuck it up with us, then make sure you come over to the Twitch feed right now as we are live, twitch.tv/freeplayarcade. But I want to say goodbye to the Facebook folks. See you guys later. We're doing Nerd Side of the Ring, and later tonight, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., we'll be doing the live matching game, and all free plays are open. See ya. All right, what's up?
So, KP, since you are our
Yeah.
resident AEW aficionado,
Well, it should
What-
be Jesse.
I mean,
What did
he's
you think
willing to
last night?
speak. Like, go for it. He's welcome to. Okay.
Well,
There's
he's not
crickets.
here,
There's
so you're
crickets. We're
here.
gonna need KP.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
so I need a report about AEW from you last night.
Last night, the show I think last week was better.
Mhm.
But this week, they had the 1 hour on Tuesday, like the late night one, and then on yesterday they had their Dynamite show. But the coolest thing for me was to see Cody back, and he's all back on like dark hair, dark color. I'm like, what is this? His like official, like he's healed? Like, is he like evil Cody now? But it was nice to see, I forget what's that guy called. What's his name from the party group?
Isaiah.
Party? Isaiah.
Yeah, Private Party. He challenged Chris Jericho, and I thought that was pretty cool. And that Matt Hardy was there. Sammy
And he
came
was
back.
there. He was
Well, yeah,
there.
well, no, I love Matt. Matt's my favorite. That's why it was really cool to see him back in, I guess in okay shape. Because I thought he was just going to be gone for a while, like not even aired. But I guess he still makes appearances. But it looks like he's okay, from his fall.
Dragging that leg behind him last night.
Well, yeah, that too. But that's from being attacked, quote unquote, attacked by Chris Jericho, whoever it is. And I don't know if they're hinting something what's going on with MJF and Chris Jericho. I don't know what's that about, but yeah, I mean it was a good show. I think one of the usually the women fight are not exciting for me.
Mhm.
I was really excited to see yesterday Thunder Rosa and Sheeta together. That was really cool. That was a really good match.
All in all, I'd say the women's match again was pretty decent. Coming off the heels of that alleged shoot fight that we had between Ivelisse and Thunder Rosa the week before. I know they're continuing on this weird 4-person angle now between the two teams of Diamante and Ivelisse and Shida and Rosa. But an interesting signing happened this week also, where they officially signed Serena Deeb, former WWE trainer and wrestler, to be another focal point of their women's division. So people are saying that she's going to be kind of the gatekeeper and the unofficial trainer of the young upcoming women in AEW. I think that's a great get because she was being groomed to do that in WWE before the layoffs. And she has a great mind for the business. She's a good worker because she could still go. And I think that's going to help the division, to be quite honest.
That's cool. I did hear about her, her being signed, and she's a trainer. So from what I've heard, like it was like her time to. It was like about time for her to shine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why that her and Thunder Rosa's match was probably the best women's wrestling match AEW's had to date, just because she's a trainer, right? So and Thunder Rosa's really good in the ring. So that was just solid all the way through, and that they better take advantage with her being there and like have her train some of the some of their current rosters. They definitely could use the help.
Yeah, she has a high ring IQ, so to say, whatever the announcers say.
What was the phrase yesterday we got tired of hearing?
Muscular development.
Muscular development. That was a big deal on last night's Dynamite. Was all
Is this
about
the muscular development era of AEW wrestling?
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
Because the best man, Miro, made his in-ring debut for AEW, and that's all they kept talking about was his muscular development.
Hey, I want to know why was he like mad dogging the whole match? Like I want to like go in, like hug him, like, do you need love? Why do you always look so mad? Like you look really angry at something. Like he looks very angry.
He's the Bulgarian brute.
He needs love. He needs a hug.
Oh,
are you volunteering, KP?
No.
Well, he has Lana. He gets plenty of love over there in Kentucky or Tennessee, wherever he lives at. But
Tennessee.
Yeah, but that's just his gimmick. His gimmick is just of
intense super athlete.
Yeah, very tense. When I was watching him, I was like, what is going on with him? Like, you're so angry at something.
Was it that, or was it his traps are just so large and developed that it just looks like he was angry last night?
It's a combination. He's like the whole.
He's doing upright rows as we speak right now.
Which I heard that exercise is not good for your shoulders. It causes impingement, but that's neither here nor there. Which actually led me to research a little bit about AEW's wellness policy. In other words, they don't have one. So I'm wondering how many people between WWE and AEW's transition, when they make their debuts, on the gas, on the sauce, as it were.
On the juice.
I love it when you say that word.
The sauce. There you go. I didn't even realize it until you said it, Mike. I said, "Oh crap!" I said sauce.
They get lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. But that's another downside for AEW. As of 5 hours ago, I don't know if you heard this, Mike, but there is a rash outbreak of COVID positive cases in the AEW locker room.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yes, I did hear that.
Switching to NXT for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, apparently, it's
sick.
Lance Archer.
Really?
Which is why he didn't wrestle last night. Let's see. I think some people in NXT got it as well. There's some. I haven't gone back and watched all of NXT yet, but there's some weird tag team match next week. That.
Yeah, there was a weird tag team match yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. I mean, so that's kind of it. So we're having outbreaks right now on both those rosters. So. As well as Foot Locker at Town East Mall. But that's for another day.
Oh, no.
Which I was supposed to be there last week, but
it's going to interrupt the Mike B. Steel Cage match at Foot Locker from the Ryan Reynolds of Foot Locker.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
so,
winner gets the pair of Jordans.
yeah, so it looks like I'll make my return to Foot Locker maybe in another couple more weeks. So, anyways, proceed on.
That's
But all in all, I
Oh.
think now because we're in that hotbed still of Florida, where COVID cases are still kind of running rampant,
It's
you're
really
going to get a
hot.
lot of last minute changes. Like last night's title match, because Lance Archer couldn't wrestle, we had Moxley against Eddie Kingston, who a lot of people said should have won the match last night, but alas, that's how it ended. It ended with Mox choking out, and I put that term rather loosely because Carlos and I were upset that the choke out happened in 30 seconds, where Bret Hart back in the day could survive for 3 minutes in a chokehold and not pass out from the pain. But Eddie Kingston just passes out within like 5 seconds. But that's okay because it was Mox. But there was a beatdown to conclude AEW last night where, look, now it kind of seems as if there is an NWO style group coming out between Kingston, the Lucha Brothers, the Butcher and the Blade, and this kind of team thing they have with Brian Cage, Taz, and Ricky Starks.
Yeah, joining forces.
Dangerous
Yeah.
alliance, almost.
I was surprised not to see Cage come out. I was like, Cage is gonna come out, right? But no,
Maybe he has the COVIDs.
Yeah.
maybe.
La Covida, as they say. Did anyone watch NXT?
I tried to, but could not, because we were watching AEW and Stars last night. Someone had to lose out. It was NXT. I went back, but I guess WWE Network doesn't show theirs until a week later. Is that right, Carlos?
8 p.m.
Yeah.
So 8 p.m. the night after.
8 p.m. the night after.
Okay, so I could watch it at 8 p.m. today if I wasn't doing the live matching game. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. So yeah, I haven't seen it. You guys?
I didn't get to watch it. I watched a little bit every now and then, but from what I was watching last night, like all the stuff was pretty solid. So I just stopped watching it. I'm just gonna watch it in full and enjoy it like that instead of watching bits and parts here and there.
Well, we do have they're setting up the next takeover. So Johnny Gargano is going to go against Damian Priest for the almost said U.S. title, the North American title. That
Mhm.
should be good actually. And I can see Gargano getting his title back there.
Yeah, I'm also interested in Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh my God,
That's gonna be awesome. So
that takeover could just be them, just
Yeah.
that one match, and I'll be totally happy. That's gonna be an outstanding match right there.
yeah, it's gonna be a
I
good
mean,
one.
for real, that's gonna be a good match. Like it's gonna be stiff. There's gonna be a lot of moves. The story's gonna be there. I mean, all of it. Like it's
Possible face turn.
possible face turn. I mean, you don't know what's gonna happen there, and I'm gonna say right now that might be match of the year. I'm calling it. Their match
Oh.
might be match of the year.
So a little background for Chris. Chris, if you've never watched Kyle O'Reilly on the independent circuit, I know he's been a tag team wrestler for a little while now, but if you go back and watch Kyle O'Reilly either in New Japan or just on the indie circuit, he is one of those striker, technical based wrestlers. The only knock on him before he came to WWE was that he didn't have a personality.
Uh-huh.
He was just a shoot fighter, a grappler. But now he's kind of the whole Undisputed Era reminds me of the jocks that never left high school, even though they're like 45, but they're still acting as if they're in high school. But Kyle's claim to fame is whenever they have their tag team title belts, he plays it like an air guitar.
Yes.
And that became his thing.
Kyle
he plays
He has
good, too.
personality.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I want to see him with a title so he can do that entrance because the way he plays it is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it
Into
definitely
it.
became a thing because there was one show like a while back where he was tag team champion and they show the backstage segment of all four of them talking, right? They're just talking about what's going to happen tonight, this and that, and just kind of to the side and in the background you see Kyle O'Reilly tuning up his tag team belt as if it's a guitar.
Yeah.
Yes, damn it, yes, and me and Sal just hugged and made out real quick because it was so awesome.
Oh dear.
Whoa.
Oh, things got hot and heavy.
Yeah, got hot and heavy quick. So
No holds barred.
Can we
Yeah,
get
Mike.
can we get KP to tune up the Free Play Wrestling Championship belt when she wins the women's ST title from Tiger Lily?
Oh, there you go.
Look,
Yeah.
I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I'm still practicing.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Lauren she got time on me. She's
I
so
know.
much more skilled than I am.
We got this, KP. We can figure this out.
Thank you, my sensei.
But I do want to transition really quick because I want to get to the real meaty topics. But briefly, in 3 words or less, what are your thoughts on Retribution?
Who you want to go first? Me? I'll go first.
Go, Mike.
3 words or less. Okay, here we go. 3 words in 3, 2, 1. Well, okay.
Carlos.
Maybe.
Chris, do you know who Retribution is?
What is Retribution? There's my 3 words.
It is a new faction that showed up on Monday Night Raw to cause chaos and to basically disrupt WWE on Monday nights because they are the disheveled, they are the forgotten. And they showed up in various Bane masks this past week with notable wrestlers, Dominic Dijakovic, Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez in tow.
Are you going to?
And they've been mocked incessantly backstage
And online.
and online.
Yeah.
Oh, my 3 words are final fight villains.
I think with those guys, I think it took too long for them to debut, right? Because they were, going between both shows, Raw and SmackDown, causing the chaos. Okay, and they were covering up their faces so well, you really didn't know who they were until, okay, they're gonna put Retribution on Raw only, and now you can see some of their faces. And like, well, I know who they are, right? Like, oh, okay. So then they're giving you names, right? Like T-Bar and
Slapjack.
Yeah, Slapjack, which
Slapjack.
like
And Clown.
and Clown, and I mean, just I think by giving them kind of cheesy nicknames like that has definitely hurt them, and they could have just left. He just could have kept their regular names. Like, I mean, we know who they are because we watch NXT. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Sorry, guys, I have to go, but I'll catch y'all. I'll catch y'all this weekend.
Okay.
Wait, which day?
Bye.
Which day?
It's Thursday.
Thursday?
Huh?
Wait, today's Thursday. No. Which day are you coming out? Gotta be there.
Don't you? Well, I'll text you. Don't you come out on Fridays?
I could come out on Friday.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
KB.
Bye.
Definitely doing Sunday though. Just saying.
AP from the Batcave, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is correct, Boat Guy. Slapjack. That was the thing
Yes.
Stevie Ray used in WCW.
Yes, that's where I recognize that name from. Thank you. I was trying to figure out where it was from.
Yes. It's a little bitty.
Slapjack.
It's from the streets of Harlem.
That's right. But yeah, that's been kind of the thing where, like, I think they took too long to debut, and also I think that that they shouldn't have changed their names. So it's definitely not they're not off to a good start, and then because of these backstage reports, they get leaked and stuff, for all the other people who hate on WWE daily, that that's just adds fuel to their fire, right?
Right.
And then you add to that, CM Punk even mocked them on one of his Instagram little pictures or whatever. So that didn't help either, right? Because it's CM Punk, and who better anti WWE than him, right? So
And Bret Hart, Bret the Bitter Man Hart.
So, I mean, yeah, they're off to a bad start, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, that's I mean, I don't they're off to a bad start.
Yeah, and then for people who don't know who they are, they're like, "What the fuck's going on?" They could have packaged them better. They could have instead of coming out unmasking or taking their hoods off in masks, and then they're saying, "Oh, out of nowhere we got contracts so we can stop messing things up," or whatever. But they could have been presented with like the real names. The WWE could have like done like a video package and showed like who these guys are, and then they like interview them and say whatever. But the way they came out, I mean, just if you just come out and just take off your hood to show who you are, they could have done it after they beat somebody up or something, you know.
Mhm.
But they started out the show with that, and it was just like, okay, all right, now I'm just waiting for the Hurt Business.
Yeah, which I like that faction. I like the Hurt Business.
Yeah,
I like that faction. They're doing it right, and I'm quite sure MVP has a lot to say on what they do. You know,
I think we talked about it. We read a report recently where MVP was told to make the Hurt Business Nation of Domination 2.0, and he straight up said no. He's not doing that. He wants it to craft to his vision, what Bobby wants to do, what Shelton wants to do. It's almost another example of the New Day, because the New Day, when they first re-debuted, everybody thought they were going to be Nation 2.0, and then they were shucking and jiving and dancing in the church, and all the power positivity, and then they just became super nerds who come out of cereal boxes. But they did it their way, and I think what makes the Hurt Business worthwhile is they are indeed doing it a different sort of way. They're going to Raw Underground and beating the crap out of people. They're just dominating, to for a lack of a better term, just the entire Raw roster, with the exception of the champ Drew Galloway of McIntyre. And for me, that's the only reason to watch Monday Night Raw, is to see what the Hurt Business is going to do. So kudos to them. Kudos to MVP, Shelton, Bobby, and now Cedric Alexander. I think, Carlos, were you the one that said Bianca should join now too?
Yes, EST, because Retribution has female wrestlers, and we've seen the Hurt Business go on and take on 30 members of Retribution all at once, and it's just 4 of them. So, and then who's gonna beat up the female wrestlers? Well, you need who better to be in the Hurt Business right now than EST?
Yeah, that would be interesting, but of course, that they've made it known that she's married to, drawing a blank. What's his name? Street Profits.
Montez
Ford. They're married in real life, so she's already aligned herself with them. So
that could be retconned really easy, because we know Mia Yim is with Keith Lee, and yet she's in Retribution, and Keith Lee's doing his own thing, so they can retcon that real quick.
Yeah. Well, I can see them get real technical with it though, because they've said it on Raw. It was known. It wasn't really known in on NXT, but they've said that they're married on Raw. But it was known that Keith Lee and Mia Yim are together in NXT, but they haven't said it on Raw. So,
also, they're on social media, so.
Well, yeah.
So.
Social media. But
before we get out of here, I know we have about 20 minutes or so. I really want to get into this topic about wrestlers of our yesteryear passing, not only just too soon, but just how do we deal with that? And to Mike's point last night, where he showed up on Wrestling Wednesday wearing a Legion of Doom Road Warriors homage t-shirt, he lost Road Warrior Animal at the age of 60. And it's another one. It's another wrestler where we grew up watching, pretty much thinking they were superheroes. Yet another one, especially if you've watched this year's Dark Side of the Ring, lost them too soon. And how do you process that? Because I know Mike last night or yesterday during Mike B News, it hit him hard. It didn't surprise me, because I knew that he was sick. Various people telling me he was sick, so I wasn't surprised that he passed. What surprised me was how quick it happened. And I think, just as a wrestling fan, I thought the Legion of Doom were superheroes, legit tough superheroes. Were both 6'4", 6'5", Hawk and Animal, 270, 280, beat the living crap out of people, and they made money. If you follow the Territory days, you bring them in, Territory brings them in, They do their match, they get out. They don't overstay their welcome, and this was brought up during Dark Side of the Ring as well. I guess the question to everybody, we'll start here, is when you think Legion of Doom, when you think Hawk and Animal, what's the first thing that comes to your head? And do you have any wrestling memories of them that stick out above all else?
I'll let you guys go because I could spend an hour.
All right, I haven't spoken much. It's for me, they were the most intimidating looking wrestlers of an era in which I did watch wrestling. They were the scariest looking dudes. Vader always looked out of shape, and these guys look terrifying. So I like their in-ring presence. And what do I first think of when I think of the Legion of Doom? Well, I think of WWF WrestleFest. They're the tag team champions, and they're the invincible team. So there you go.
What about you, Carlos?
Their signature move, what was it? Was it the Doomsday?
Yes, the Doomsday
Device. Yeah, that finisher was pretty sick. But I have a few memories. I mean, I seen them live when I went to my first show. Was Monday Night Raw, taped on a Tuesday in November of '98, and it wasn't like one of like my favorite part of their career because this was the Droz was in the LOD and he pushed Hawk off the Titantron or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like the matches they had like with Goldust and Stone Cold against the Hart Foundation. And yeah, I just remember as a kid, like when I started watching wrestling, and I used to like go back and to the mom and pop's place that rented videos, and they would have all types of old WrestleManias and stuff like that. So I remember watching, I forget which WrestleMania it was, but they came in on motorcycles with Paul Ellering,
mm-hmm.
and that the song, how it starts, the like, oh, what a rush, and then the crowd going crazy, and yeah, that's what I sticks out in my mind right now.
I think for me, for them being as over as they were as a tag team, we often talk about how tag team wrestling now has its renaissance period, but before the tables, ladders, and chairs, before the Hardys, before the Dudleys, for Edge and Christian and FTR and all the like, all we had was the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express for a long time, and the Rock and Roll Express. So when I think about tag team wrestling, I think about how not only did they dominate because they were physically imposing, I think about how WWF made their own version of the Legion of Doom when they were in the NWA called Demolition. Pretty much almost verbatim, but the spikes were more, I want to say, dungeonish, if that's a word I can use, a little bit more, instead of the chaps, the assless chaps as they originally were going to be portrayed as. A lot of it just was the spikes and the face masks. So they always say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. That's WWF's answer before they were able to sign the Legion of Doom was, hey, we want this kind of big tag team that can look scary and be dominant. And then they made Demolition to kind of be this wannabe Legion of Doom. So go figure.
Yeah, Chris,
Demolition was pretty cool though.
Demolition was cool. Chris, I sent you a couple of pictures. If you want to pull up really just the first picture.
Mike be pointing at somebody.
No, not this time. To Damien's point earlier, there was our heroes and things like that from our youth that are passing away in the wrestling world, things like that. The first picture that Chris is about to pull up, man, it kind of, if you look at it, it kind of hits you rather deep because as soon as Chris pulls it up here, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Is it the Warriors photo?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking. Survivor Series.
Yeah. Look at this picture, man.
Yeah.
Look at this picture,
man.
Chris.
That's another one that I wanted to mention that I forgot about.
Yeah. Look at this picture, Chris.
The Warriors.
Hey, I see
right
somebody
there.
I recognize there.
There you go. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The
I knew
Dingo
you liked
Warrior.
Yeah.
Yes. The Dingo Warrior. There's Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, and the Road Warriors, man. To me, this was the best Survivor Series team ever. Because, I mean, look at them.
They were all
Sportatorium
warriors.
Like the Sportatorium group. That's them. That's all of them.
Yeah. Because didn't Texas Tornado also go by the Lone Warrior?
No, he didn't go by that. He was. I mean, he was known as the modern day.
The modern day warrior. There you go.
There you go.
Warrior, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it was like all warriors.
Yeah, and hence their team name was the Warriors. You know what I mean? You know, but also on the other side of the coin, though, man, none of them are no longer here.
Even Mean Gene.
Even Mean Gene. You know, and man, that's rough, man. That's rough right there. You know, but I mean, look, there's Chris's warrior Chris's hero right there in the back. There's my 3 heroes right there with Ultimate Warrior and the Legion of Doom. You know, I mean, it's all right there, man. Those are all our heroes right there. You know,
and for me, Kerry passing in the '90s made me numb to it because he was, you know, already amongst a line of Von Erichs that were passing. So at this point, it's cliche and it's hard for me to get like emotionally into it. Although it's still hitting me in the feels right now to see, you know, there are the guys that I grew up with and all gone.
And you know, as far as like my, you know, my first impressions of seeing these guys way back when. I mean, growing up, you know, I did watch NWA and WWF mostly, and my buddy Big Mike, he would record the NWA matches on Saturdays because I didn't have cable at the time, so he would bring them over and I'd watch them and all these things, and I would see the Road Warriors like, man, these guys are cool, and we'd rent the tapes. We would rent like the Starcades and stuff like that, and just see the Road Warriors on them going against Dusty Rhodes and the Four Horsemen, or even teaming up with Dusty Rhodes and still going against the Horsemen. Man, those were some just awesome matches back then. And I mean, they're already like, you know, 6'6", 275 each. They're already huge with muscles. Then you add shoulder pads to them to make them bigger, and you put spikes on it. Man, forget about it. Forget about it, dude. It's over. It's over. You're not beating them at all, you know? And, man, it's just, you know, I mean, they were just like that, you know, this team right here hit me at the right time as far as me being like, I think I was like 11, 12 years old, you know, when I'm starting to figure out what testosterone is. I mean, this helped fuel it right here. You know, this definitely helped fuel it. So it was the perfect time for me right there, seeing these guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of manhood in this picture.
Yeah, right.
Like those are men right there.
Yeah, those are men, dude. Like those are men. Like you got dudes, right? Okay, yeah, these are dudes. No,
you got dudes.
No, these are men, dude. All of them. Even Mean Gene, he's a man too. You know what I mean? They're all men.
And then I'm gonna quote the Ultimate Warrior because I think they all 4 of them did this. I'm gonna quote the Ultimate Warrior. I only breathe the air that smells of combat. And they look like they're gonna throw in some hands. Well, they are.
Yeah.
I forget, who did they wrestle that Survivor Series, Mike? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yes, I do. That was Survivor Series 90. They went against Mr. Perfect and All 3 Demolition.
Oh, that's right. Crush. Yeah, Crush was added to that.
Yeah, Crush just came in. Yeah, Axe. Yeah, the second one right here. This one right here, this is all the feels right here. The second picture right here. This is all the feels. Because
I saw this earlier.
Yeah, this is that's all the feels right there, man. You got Hawk welcoming Animal to the big ring in the sky.
I saw the photo with a tagline where Hawk's telling Animal, "What took you so long, brother?"
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Chris, I want to touch on this. So, of course, there's the Dark Side of the Ring, right? Which was, you know, about 45 minutes long, and it does talk about the Road Warrior stuff like that. But back in the mid 2000s, I think it's still on WWE Network. It should be at least. But the WWE put out a documentary on the Road Warriors, to which I have on DVD. But it does talk about in great detail. It's almost 2 hours long of, you know, Hawk and Animal and their upbringing, you know, them getting into the wrestling business. Of course, going into WWE, and then the problems that they had. Right, they talk about it in there as well. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know the backstory, Chris, like these two guys, they're from the same area, and they were both bouncers at the same nightclub. And then like,
oh man, you are not getting into that nightclub, Mike.
Yeah. That they would handle shop at at this one nightclub that they were bouncers at, dude. And then finally, like, that they would even talk about how they would just work out insanely crazy together at the gym. And then finally, like, there were a lot of wrestlers at the time, like Hulk Hogan when they were in Minneapolis. Wrestlers would come into this nightclub and they would tell him, "Hey, you guys should wrestle." You know what I mean? Like, no, this and that. Well, finally, they, found the wrestler. Eddie Sharkley was their trainer. Trained him, and then, I mean, off to the races they went, man. And then here they are putting on their face paints and stuff right here, getting ready. Yeah, look at that. Getting ready, man. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's on WWE Network. I mean, I'll check here a little bit, but if anything, maybe you can borrow the DVD and watch it. But it's definitely it's a good documentary. And of course, it just chronologically tells their story. They did have a falling out in the '90s, Chris. They did have a falling out. I mean, Hawk was really bad on the substance abuse stuff. As a matter of fact, Carlos was talking about it. The SummerSlam, it was SummerSlam '92, where they rode in on Harley Davidsons with Paul Ellering. That match took place in Wembley Stadium over in England.
Yeah.
And what was revealed in the documentary was that after that match, Hawk disappeared, literally. Like, they won their match, and then like the next day, Hawk was gone. He just said, "F it, I'm out," and like basically kind of went AWOL. Wasn't really talking to Animal or anything like that. He just like left, like, just, I'm out. Next thing you know, he ends up in I believe New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he reforms the Road Warriors in Japan, and he picks a Japanese wrestler to basically be Animal.
Wow.
Yeah, that didn't sit too well, but that lasted for a little bit, and then Hawk came back. Hawk was always the wild card of the two. Animal was kind of more of the, like, hey, I'm gonna take care of things. I'm gonna take care of you. I had to take care of you, type friend. And then Hawk was just the wild cannon, where it's the party's on. You know what I mean? The party's on, and some of their promos were just great promos, man. Like, and it was always, of course, the traditional, yelling and this and that. But Hawk was really, really good with his promo, because it would always start off with Animal. He would say what he had to say, and then he would just go, "Tell him, Hawk," and Hawk would always go,
Yeah.
Well, and then Hawk would just come up with something funny, but yet still mean. And
didn't he say something about doing things sexually to Ric Flair in one promo?
Yeah, just
Look that one up right now.
Yeah.
Take that, Ric Flair.
Yeah, he would come up with some really, really clever.
Yes.
I mean, like, they weren't like dark or anything. They were just clever and funny, and you're like, ha! You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking awesome.
They didn't rehearse their promos much either. They kind of just went off the dome.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. That's one of the beauties about wrestling back then. You didn't have writers telling you what to say. You just said what's on your mind.
You had talking points. That was it.
Yeah,
just hit those talking points.
Just all the time. Like, Animal says something. Tell him, Hawk. Well.
This is the promo I know right here. There we go. That's the one. Yeah.
Man, look at those graphics.
Yeah.
It's like it's real. Yeah. Man, I know it. Those guys are going to munch your quarters right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell him, Hawk.
Yeah. Tell him,
Hawk. Look at Mean Gene looking all attentive.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, Mean Gene, man. Like, yes. But yeah,
put that cigarette out.
Yeah, put that cigarette out. Yes. I mean, gosh, what else? There was one promo that Hawk did. I think it was on, who was it on? It may have been the WrestleMania 7 promo against Power and Glory, and he was, I think, telling Paul Roma or Hercules, one of them, where, and then he'd go off to, you know what you remind me of? Remind me of that one booger that's in the very back of my nose that I can't reach with my finger.
So it was Roma.
Roma, yeah. And I keep digging and digging until I get it out and I flick it. Just like, who thinks of that? Hawk does. Hawk does. That's where you get stuff like that from. Like, man, that's so good. That's so good. And being 12 years old, you're like, yeah, boogers. Oh my god, they're so good, man. They're so good. I mean, and seriously, like they're my favorite tag team of all time. To me, the most dominant tag team of all time. It was them, and then after them was the Steiner brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like tag team goes, they're the best all time. And just to show you, how much they were loved by everybody. Back when Hawk passed away in the early 2000s, I remember the Dudley Boys. They, I think they won the tag team titles on Monday Night Raw, and they laid the tag belts down and had like a rest in peace Hawk sign they put down on the stage to show their support and allegiance to those guys. And of course, last night we had Thunder Rosa. She came out and she had half of Hawk's Animal's face paint.
Paint on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To which, by the way, I mean, Animal was just here in North Texas just a couple of months ago, and there's a picture of Thunder Rosa meeting Animal for the SWE wrestling promotion that's here in town. That they're and Animal had taped a few episodes here, for the SWE promotion. As a matter of fact, Animal was here, I think, in May, like back when malls were opening again. Like that very first weekend, Animal was actually here in town with Teddy Long, doing a meet and greet, and I almost went to it. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't go now.
I was going to say, can you confirm or deny if there was a tag team match made by Teddy Long that night?
Oh my gosh! Well, I didn't go to the show. I didn't go to the show yet because that show was being taped in I think Canton on that day. But yeah, they were both doing a meet and greet here up in Louisville, and I didn't go. Now I'm kicking myself for it. Ugh. Oh, but yeah, Thunder Rosa was there, and she met Animal and all that stuff. So of course she paid tribute to him last night. So I'm pretty sure we'll see more tributes in the days to come on whatever show you're watching. So
this actually brings up another question. I didn't have this in the pre-show notes, but because we know all the people of our childhood are slowly succumbing to old age or disease or whatever or what have you, who now is the next person in wrestling where you're thinking, oh man, if they go, it's gonna suck, man. Besides Flair and Hogan, who else?
For me, it'll be Bret Hart.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, Bret Hart. Matter of fact, when Warrior passed, that one really affected me too. Because I mean, like me and my buddy Lurch, we were in New Orleans for WrestleMania 30. We saw him at the Hall of Fame. We saw him at Raw, and then we get on the plane. We leave Tuesday. As soon as we land, I turn on the phone and there it is. Like, what? We just saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally just saw Ultimate Warrior. Now he's passed away. I'm like, what? That one affected me too. So like these, and of course when Hawk passed, that affected me, right? So like these three right here, those are the ones that really affected me. So yeah, of course, Flair, Hogan, when that happens, yeah, that'll hurt me as well. But also Bret Hart, that one will really hurt.
I don't know. It's almost like kind of being numb to it because it kind of happens so frequently. So I'm not. If whoever passes away, depending on the circumstances, I probably won't be like too surprised knowing how the business is.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm gonna get drunk at and then at 4 a.m. watch videos and cry and then send y'all links. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the first like wrestling death that really like like hurt me, that affected me, was Owen Hart, because I remember watching he was growing up. He was one of my he was one of my favorites, and I especially liked him when he was in the Nation, which kind of didn't make sense, but it did make sense because it's Owen Hart, and Owen Hart's fucking badass. But yeah, after that, like it started happening so like frequently. I remember when I saw, because I didn't have internet. Well, I had internet at the time, but I was only like 11 years old, 12 years old. When I turn on to watch Monday Night Raw, and before it begins, it just shows a picture of Yokozuna, rest in peace. And I was like, wow. And then it started happening like frequently, which is sad. But after a while, you kind of get numb to it.
Yeah, in some ways, you kind of get numb to it. I mean, there hadn't been a lot of deaths lately, right? You had Mean Gene, earlier this year and things like that. But I remember I watched that live. Actually, I recorded it. I would record the pay-per-views, and I saw the Owen Hart death, quote unquote, happen live. I mean, they didn't show it on TV, right? But the live show I still have on VHS. I mean, it's out there on YouTube now. You can go back and watch how it went down and stuff like that. But that one affected me because, like, holy crap, like this happened right in front of my eyes. You know what I mean? And that was a big story on ESPN and stuff like that night, to which they never reported wrestling back then on ESPN, right? But that happened, and then they did. So it's a tragic story. And then another one that affected me, Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah,
that one got me. Yeah.
That one got me too. I was like, oh man, that was, for us, Chris, like he was like.
I watched Eddie Guerrero, for sure, and then that was. And he was always fighting with Chris Benoit too, and Eddie Guerrero was just, I don't know, he was always such a good wrestler. He was so active. He seemed like he had more in him, and then he was gone.
And he's from Texas.
Yeah, he was from Texas, and he was.
Well, for me, all my heroes are dead. Like they already are. So there isn't one to drop because when I was a little kid, everybody that I watched, everybody that I cared about was gone. Like the Von Erich family is all gone, and many of them by their own hand, and all of them were of wrestling age. And you talk about like them breaking into ESPN about Owen Hart, like they were every single night. Felt like on the news as a little kid, I would be watching the Sportatorium, and then 2 days later I'd be hearing WFAA report about another death in the Von Erich family. It was rough, and
that was rough. It was weird too.
And I could just see crying old man Fritz Von Erich, like just sort of, reminiscing about all of his sons being gone before him. So it's
Kevin's
my
still
heart's
around.
Kevin's still around, and he's got some kids, but there was like 8 brothers, and it was insane. And man, yeah, my heart got ripped out, stomped on, and then like they were dying. Like David died, and Chris died, and Kerry moved on to the WWE, but he wasn't Kerry, and he couldn't do the Iron Claw, and it just wasn't the same. And then he committed suicide. Like you're talking about like taking out someone's heart and stomping on it as a kid. Like I there's nothing left for me. Like I can't view it the same. My heroes are dead. So. Well,
he did do the claw in WWF. I mean, he wasn't his. He had 2 finishers. He did the claw, but he also had the discus punch.
Mm-hmm. So and he had that all along. But yeah, it's all about the claw for me.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think Hugo does the discus lariat, right? The discus punch.
Hugo?
I'm pretty sure he does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does do a discus lariat or punch. He does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Hugo and Alex are one big homage to professional wrestling, which, all in all, I'm here for it, so that's fine. I will say the biggest death that got me was Eddie Guerrero.
Yes.
I sobbed. I remember I was in college and just hearing about it from my roommate, and he was a wrestling fan as well. And we just kind of just sat there. No, he's not. Stop kidding. And this is long before Dirt Sheets. It's long before Meltzer became Meltzer. And then we called other people as if it was a family member that passed away. And we just started sobbing. Just sobbing in the middle of our dorm room, just my wrestling hero. Because if you know Eddie Guerrero's backstory, it's essentially a rise, a fall, a rise, and a fall again, become the WWE champion. One of the most beloved wrestlers in all of WWE modern history. On heart failure at 37. You know, like, we're outliving Eddie Guerrero, and that just that stings. Now, if I'm saying who the next one when and if they go, for me, it's going to be Jake the Snake Roberts, because he was not even about the snake being named Damien, but just the slow, methodical way he attacked pro wrestling. From the promos to the work rate, even before I knew what work rate was. But there's a lot of people now who cut promos because of what they learned from Jake the Snake Roberts. It's the complete antithesis of those Warrior type promos or the LOD promos, where Jake could literally seduce you with his eyes and his cadence. And if he was a cult leader, 8 out of 10 times, I guarantee you somebody would go over to his side, if he wanted to do that, because he had that very Charles Manson ability to draw you in. And Raven's done this his whole career. Now Bray Wyatt does it with The Fiend, and when he was just the Louisiana swamp guy. And Jake finally dies because he's another one who came back for the brink and tried to get his life in order. And shout out to
still with us.
Yeah, shout out to DDP for having a hand in his reclamation project. But that's the one for me, because that's the last of my quote unquote wrestling heroes. Because Warrior's dead, was never a Hogan guy. Savage is dead. So the next one of my childhood, Perfect's dead. It's Jake. And after that, to quote Chris, all my wrestling heroes at that point from my younger self gone. Well, that's the one I'm kind of gearing toward.
Yeah.
At this point,
I kind of now like, yeah. When Eddie Guerrero died, that really hit me hard. Savage, that hit me hard because Savage is fucking amazing. He was one of my favorites also. But I think now, really thinking about it and how everything's gone down, like for me, probably would be Scott Hall, because Scott Hall, Scott Hall is my number one guy, and from being Razor to the ladder match with HBK, the Click, NWO, like he's one of my favorites. But you know how he when Shawn Michaels got inducted into the Hall of Fame and he didn't show up because he didn't want to be around the parties or whatever because he can overdo it.
Yes.
And I'm glad DDP like helped him out also. But Scott Hall to me was just like the coolest guy ever. The way he, even though he had like a fake Cuban accent, the way he spoke, the way he said things, the toothpick, remember when Shawn Michaels was blowing a bubble with his bubble gum, and he just grabbed the toothpick and just popped it in his face. Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, the new generation era was kind of rough, but like him and some other guys, they made it nice.
And just another one bites the dust. To borrow that line. Just I know our athletes, our favorite athletes, the people we watched television or whatnot, they will pass because they are human, but because you are so used to seeing them in these death-defying, superhero stylized, things, you think they're going to outlive us all because that's how they're portrayed. In fact, they are themselves mortal and human, and here we are left as fans to just remember the good. And I know we're over time a little bit, but I think really quickly, I just want to address it. I know a lot of people have brought up animals more risque thoughts on life and gender equality and gay marriage and the like after his passing. And yeah, I think Chris and I talked about last night, you could be really good at a trade, make many people remember who you are when you pass. At the same token, you could still be remembered for you, the human, not being a decent human. Both of those things can be true. It isn't a matter of like, well, one can't be true because he's this, or one can or cannot. They both can be true. And by all accounts, everyone that I know within professional wrestling, workers who have talked to Road Warrior Animal over the last couple of years, especially women's workers, were not very fond of him. He had very sexist views, had very antiquated views, and he didn't like women's wrestling. And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But I still choose to remember, hey, in the ring, one of the GOATs, like we throw around all the time. Outside the ring, the Laurinaitis family, my heart goes out to them. But aside from that, the character of Animal, rest in peace.
Yeah, we're confronted with this all the time, especially now with the availability of everything. So I definitely feel you. We weren't even talking about wrestling at the time when we had this conversation yesterday. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think if anyone else has anything they want to get out before we log off and head it back to Chris.
No, I'll give you this is another unique perspective that I heard someone else share yesterday, Chris. But Chris, you know this guy, Bob Sturm, right?
I do.
From The Ticket. I don't think you were listening at the time, but
probably not.
Yeah, when they came on
Animal.
Yeah. Well, they came on like at 3:30, right? And they were, Corby started off with the Gale Sayers passing, okay, and then how today is a bad day and stuff like that. And then Ty came in and said, "Oh yeah, an Animal passed away too." And then Bob Sturm didn't know it yet. Now, for Carlos and Damian, Bob Sturm, he's a real sportsy. He'll talk sports all day kind of guy, right? This is from the sports station, and he's like
he's a sports talk Mount Rushmore type guy.
Yeah, like he will, like, I mean, he's legit, like, he will talk sports, right? This and that, and he's Mr. Football. He loves football and the history and all this stuff. And then when one of the other guys brought up Animal, he did not know Animal passed away yet. And then Bob just like totally freaked out on the air for like a split second. He was like, "What? Animal died? No way." And now Corby, who doesn't watch wrestling or isn't a wrestling guy at all, he's like confused. He's like, "Who?" And like, it should be on. You might be able to go back and listen to it, but yeah, he totally freaked out. And like Corby's freaking out because like here's Mr. Sports Guy, Mr. Football, who would be sad about Gale Sayers passing, but is even more sad by the Animal passing, right? Who what I mean? So it gives you perspective on on
how impactful some of these guys are.
Yeah,
for sure.
All this, and of course Bob had to explain. Well, Gale Sayers is before my time, but Animal, I grew up with him. This and that. So all these things. So yeah, it things like that.
Well, go ahead.
But no, go ahead.
I wanted to do a bit of a postscript on this show and hit one more topic, but I wanted it to be like bookmarked away from the rest of the show that we won't actually save. So, Damien, do you want to hit where people can find you this week and outro us, and then we'll do that last topic.
Sure. So you can always find me. I am a contributor to Big Gold Belt Media. I will be on tonight. So for those who aren't able to watch the live matching game at 8, at 7, we go live at BGB Group on Twitter. It's available live streaming through Periscope and I believe through YouTube as well. That's Big Gold Belt Media, Big Gold Belt Podcast, where I am one of 4 contributors on the show talking wrestling. I'm more sort of like here where we talk about big picture wrestling topics. There's business acumen talk regarding wrestling, but it's not a lot of darkish communication. We have fun. We make jokes about Vince McMahon and his tomfoolery. But you can also find my other show, Damien's Advocate, with Sarah, who is a bartender at Barkeep of Free Play Richardson, and she and I talk about relationships and dating after breakups and divorce in this new realm of swipe right culture. And you can find that at Damien's Advocate on Instagram, as well as the Damien G Show on all your streaming platforms.
Carlos, Mike, you guys want to plug anything?